Right, I got up on my screen, Bed Runner Block 2. I put the PDF so you can see the cutting instructions for actually making the half square triangles. Well, I have put up just recently a video on making half square triangles in a couple of different ways, and some are easier than others, and some of it depends on what you have to hand to use. If you're just using ordinary square rulers, or if you indeed have a few, I would suggest that if you can, you would invest, because this is the best thing ever, the Creative Grids folded corner clipper. It is by Creative Grids. It's not cheap, it's about 15 quid, I think. I've had mine a long time, I forgot I had it, but it is really worthwhile having, because most things you do at some stage are going to include half square triangles. The other thing that I've had for a long time, this is from simplicity.com, easy quilting, easy flying geese. Now some of the squares that some of the things that we're going to be using, you see there's a template to cut out on a 3.5 inch line the center part of your flying geese. The outer parts are still going to be the triangles that we cut earlier, yeah. So I've already gone ahead and done that. The other thing I haven't done is I haven't cut out yet the central square, which is a 4 3/4 square according to my chart. So I'm going to use this ruler so that I can fussy cut. I'm going to start off by cutting a 6 inch square, and you might think why, and because I want a fussy cut. Alright, so I'm going to turn this round, and I'm going to say I want, and I also want, because remember this square is on point, so I'm kind of, I know it's got to be diagonal, so I'm kind of cutting, and this might seem daft to you, but you have to bear with me. I'm kind of cutting a fussy square on this, so now I can cut my 6 inches. I can find my lines again, more or less. Yeah, I can cut my 6 inch that way. Ooh, I moved it. And my knot line that way. Now I know that that's far too big for what I want, but here we go. Now I got to fussy cut it down. I already know I got my birds on a tilt, so I can turn my ruler around and say, well, so far 4 3/4. Yeah, turn it round, and then from this edge I can put my knot on and say 4 3/4. So now I know I got a 4 3/4 there. So now I know I got a 4 3/4 inch square, but when it's set in, it's going to be on point. So my birds are facing the right way up for me. All right. So I kind of fussy cutted that. You don't need to do any of that. You know, it depends on what fabric you're using in the first place, but this is just me, so that's just how I've done that little bit. So now we're ready to go. So we're gonna work line by line. So I know my outer corners are dark. I've had to cut them all again because I ran out of this fabric. So I've gone with the next best thing, which is this. So first of all, my 4 corners are going to be half square triangles, like this. Yeah. before I do anything else, the 4 corners are going to look like this. So I know right sides together I can go and sew, forget that for a minute, right sides together I can go and just sew those, making sure that they match the pattern, just go and sew those 4 corners as as half square triangle squares. So having sewn my outside squares, let's just do it line at a time. We don't need those now. The next one that we need in the middle is a what we call a flying geese unit, and again I've always got to check my fabric that it's the right way around. So pretty sides together, yeah, follow it down so you know all the points match up. I might put a pin in this just to hold it a minute while I'm talking to you. Okay, then once I've sewn all the way down, 1/4 of an inch down this side, then right sides of fabrics together, I will then iron that, roll it back, and then this will fit on and it will cover up this crisscross at the top, and I will sew the 1/4 of an inch seam there. So by the time I come to put this side on, this side is being ironed back out of the way. Yeah, that's your flying geese unit. I will do a quick video on those in particular as well. Oh, and I have to make one in this colour to go here. I think it goes this way around. And then I need some dark blue ones to come down the sides with the corresponding whites, and then the bottom row is going to be the same as the top row. So I'm just going to do a few bits now so I can come back to you for how we do the middle square. Now you're beginning to see this picture come together, aren't you? Yeah, so I've got to sew this geese unit into these 2, you know, over to there, and that one over to there, like we usually do. That's going to make that row. Then I'm starting on the middle row, so I've got 2 geese units, but we have to make up this one in the middle. Now I want mine to point up this way, but again, taking more half square triangles and making sure that they are the right way around, I need to centralize them in my block. Yeah, they should fit. If I lay them on there and I have as much of a tinsy bit hanging over that end as I got a tinsy bit hanging over this end, and this is against the centre of my block, I'm okay. When I've done that one, sewn it, folded it back and pressed it, then I do the opposite side. So this, you know, so this is now folded back. I'll do this side, then I'll do that side, and then I'll do this side. Okay, okay, I just quickly put together my top and bottom row. You've got no seams to actually match, to be honest with you, but what I would say to you is that you want to try and keep your rows as straight as you can, no matter what you're making. So when you put your outside square, as you will do here, on top to sew down this side, aside from making sure that this edge matches lovely, try and make sure, and I just move it along in case you can't see, try and make sure that the whole square fits on square, yeah? So that when you have sewn this seam and then you press your seams and iron it back, that it does keep your line straight, yeah? because this doesn't look too straight because of the quality, because you've got to remember we've got a 1/4 inch to get rid of here, but trust me, it is. And that's a difficulty that I find sometimes when you look at somebody else's work sometimes, is that they've just gone, all right, that fits there, and they've sewn it, and then they haven't realised that they've sewn it and perhaps the square is like that, and then they think, oh, it's bent. So not only do you want to square up that corner, that those two seams together, you want to make sure that your whole square that you're attaching is in line with what you've just done all the way down. Yeah, so then when you iron it and fold it back, you have got a straight line. Yeah, of course it helps if you sew this in a straight line as well, but you know, I'm just trying to help you. Right, so the next thing that we need to do, I've done, as you can see, I showed you just now how to, I started off, and I can't remember where I started, probably here, yeah. So I started off and I sewed that one on, then I did opposite, sewed that one on, making sure that these are in the centre line, yeah. And again, this one, that one, exactly the same. So we end up, where's my birds? This is on point, and this is why, if you do a square on point, it's always going to be a different size, because you have to take into account somehow how these cross over on 4 points, and it will never be the exact size you think it's going to be. So on point squares are always slightly odd. All right, so that one started off at 4 3/4, didn't it? And yet we're making a 6.5 inch square. See, but that's the reason why, because it's on point. If it was round the right way, like that, it'd be a bit different. Anyway, I just sorry, tell me. So the next thing we need to do, and here we do need to match things up, is again we're going to take this square, and we need obviously to match this up. But what we also need to do is we need to match up, I'll just peel it back like a triangle, we need to match up that apex with that apex, yeah? Otherwise it's going to look a little odd. It'll look alright, but it won't be as I would like it. So what I tend to do is I very carefully, and I'll spend a few minutes doing this, I want these outside seams from this triangle, these seams from this triangle, and that apex to match. So I'm going to fiddle with it, and fiddle with it, and fiddle with it. Now, it would help if our seams were always spot on, but they're not, are they? Right, so once I'm absolutely convinced that that is about as best as I can do it, I'll put a pin in it. Now, then I've got to think about the outsides, because I'm really not, I want the outsides to be right, but that wasn't my first priority, was it? So now I'll find some pins, and then I'll look at and think, well, okay, you actually could probably come down a little bit and pin it, and you over here, well, you look like you've got too much, but you'll do, and I'll pin it. But trust me, before I get to this, even on the machine, I'm just going to move my pin back a bit. Even before I get to it on the machine, I might stop about here-ish, so that I can still pull this back and really look at it under my needle. And where the stitching crosses, and I have told you 18 times before, you can get your friction pen and you can draw yourself a little line, yeah, so that you know where it is, because you don't want to cut off that point. I'm lucky I've got a big glob of I don't know why, but a big glob of stitch in here, so yeah, see, I've got to make sure that that's right. Still not happy with it. Let's do that again, because it'll make all the difference to the way that's better. Right, well, and then it's a bit of a wing and a prayer, isn't it? So now what we're going to do is stitch down that side, and I'll just do that for a moment, because if I don't like it, I will rip it out and do it again. All right, I've just brought that back, and I think it's in shot, yeah. So basically, see that? Just see that? Now, I'm happy with that, and I know. And people say, "Oh God, don't you're so fussy." Yes, but I am, and why am I? Because hopefully this bed runner is going to be on my bed. Well, you know, I'm going to interchange it with other things naturally, but I'm probably going to be using this for 5-10 years. I don't know. It's going to be on the bottom of my bed, and I don't want to get out of bed every morning and it hits my ugly eye and I think, oh God, as I walk past it every day. I would rather get up, walk past the end of my bed and go, yeah, look at that, yeah. So it's entirely up to you. It's a few minutes on here. I'm going to do the other one now. Oh, I hope we could do it as well. It's a few minutes on here, isn't it? Just making sure it's right. A few minutes, that's all. But then it can last years of you being really proud of yourself, yeah? So I'm just going to do it again. Ooh. Look at it, look at it. Yeah. Pin it. I always pin well down. I don't sew my pins ever. I've sewn over my pins. I broke my needle. I've had a needle tip go into my machine, and I spent, you know, an afternoon trying to vacuum the little sod out. So I don't ever sew over my pins. I always, you know, if it's pinned down here, that's not going to move, is it? Hopefully. And then it gives me the opportunity to you know, and if I'm, yeah, I know I am dead fussy, but I want it right. And yet again, I will stop about here and I'll peel this back before it gets under the needle to make sure it's still lying after, because the reason why I stop about here and make sure this is right is because obviously with the natural flow under your needle with the dog teeth pulling the fabric a little bit and the pressure of the foot of itself pushing, you know, you've got two lots of pressure going on, that material will kind of shift a little bit. So I'll stop around about here so that I can still pull that back and make sure I am still well within my where I want to be. And luckily, because this is white cotton on navy blue, I can see exactly where my apex is, so I'll just be like a millimetre away from it as I come down. Now that millimetre, as you can see, this is another thing I want to say to you, that millimetre, that cross is right there. That is not 1/4 of an inch. So I will wiggle slightly, move my fabric out a bit to sew it and then move it back again to finish. So that won't be 1/4 of an inch seam. If I did a straight 1/4 of an inch seam, I cut off my point. So I will move, as it's coming down, I will move this way a little bit, sew it past, and then move it back and carry on. That, you know, but at the end of the day, you're in charge of your machine. The machine isn't sewing it, you are. You're in charge. Anyway, let's see how we go. All right, I just brought that back. Yep. It's okay, it's fine, yeah? That to me is a really good, you know, that's how I want it to look. So now what are we left with? Well, we're left with really easy things. Oh, I did forget to say, on the top ones I ironed out and the bottom ones I ironed out. On the middle ones, I ironed in. I have shown you this, I don't know how many times, that to iron in, you need to hold the whole thing up so it goes back towards the middle piece. Yeah, turn it round, hold it up, because whatever's on the top is the way it's going to go, and iron it back. Yeah, so those are in, the outsides are out, so that when we come to do this, because now our next thing is to line up our seams. Yeah, then you've got one seam that's going this way and one seam that's going that way. And again, I keep leaving my pins over by the sewing machine, but again, all we need to do now is take a view, look at where your seams are. Yeah, you can nestle them together with your fingers so that they click. That one has. I also take a view that my line, you know, I hope, if I cut things correctly, that I am making a right hand triangle with that, so that I know that that is all right. Stick my pin in. Yeah, then I will peel it back and double check that my seam is on top of the other seam. Yes, it is. Then I'll do the same with this end. Yeah, and find the pin, rock it so that it jams together. But even so, I then peel it back and say, well, no, you're not. No, you're not. So take it out, slightly move it and lock it. All right, put my pin in, and am I making, yeah, a straight edge there? I am. The other thing I need to take into account here, if you look, if we're being absolutely precise here, where this seam comes up and hits the end of the seam that comes down from here, that really is where we want our 1/4 inch line to be. Our 1/4 inch to just go through these points all the way across the top. It's not so important, I can't show you now, it's not so important if they don't, because we've got a straight edge to that. But it is kind of, it is kind of important. Actually, I might sew it this way around, because it is kind of important that we don't lose this middle point. So I might turn it round this time and sew it from this side so that I can judge the tip of that point. That's, aside from these seam lines, that's the only other thing that I'm concerned about. Yeah, really, to be honest. So good job I turned it over and had a look, wasn't it? Because I don't want to lose that after all my fuss for this. Right, let's have a go. Right, feeling very happy with that. So far I haven't lost any points. Good crosses, yeah. I'm even quite liking my finished points here, which don't always come to fruition like this, trust me. But anyway, so now all we got to do is exactly the same with the other end. So I always turn it round because that's the way I can deal with it. And then again, just like the other one, I'm going to flip it over to sew, because again, the most important thing here is that I don't lose the apex of this point, because it'd be a shame to lose the last one, wouldn't it? So keeping these lined up at the edges too, I am just going to go and sew that. I've just turned it round to face you. Hope there's enough light in here for this. There it is, complete. Yeah, so a on point square. I haven't lost any of my points. I'm very, very happy about these edge points too. But anyway, there we are. So that block is ready to go to the previous block we made, which was the disappearing line patch. I'm going to make 2 of these because on my quilt, my bed runner is a long bed runner. You may want to hold on and think, hang on, I'll just do 1 or 2 or 3 of these, because if you've got I'm trying to think, if you've got a 4'6" bed, you only really want 4 foot 6-ish across the top. I'm going to do something that hangs down either end with that lovely heart that we made. So that's going to be your overlap either end. So you might only want 4 or 5 of these at the most, yeah? If you've got a king size bed, then your bed is 5 foot, so you still only really want 5. My bed happens to be 7 foot long, so I want seven blocks in the middle before I've got the overhang, yeah? So you may want to hold on and think, well, hang on, I won't do 2 of everything. I'll just do 1 of everything for the minute and see where we get to, and then I can make my mind up. All right. So, and the other thing I was going to say is, I'm trying. You think, oh, I've never seen a block like that before. No, I'm trying to make up. I drew this one myself. I'm trying to make up blocks that are using key things like half square triangles. This is geese units, yeah. So these are sort of key skills, and putting centralizing a square on point. That's a key skill as well. But I'm trying to make them more modern and not your everyday, oh, everybody's got one of those. You know what I mean? Make some more modern type blocks for you. Anyway, hope you're enjoying it so far.